Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Look Back review. I set a goal at the start of this year that I would make at least one video a month to help improve my script writing, video editing, audio editing, and voiceover skills. Just over 11 and a half months into the year, I want to welcome you all to number 8. We did it, people. We did it. Well done. Woo! This time we're looking back at the plumber's first 3D adventure on the Nintendo Switch. Mario Odyssey launched on the 27th of 2017, and much like Zelda Breath of the Wild that launched earlier the same year, it gained a lot of praise for its open-world sandbox design, along with a large toolset of movement options to help progress and traverse some very new and interesting worlds. It was all about the freedom and creating your own journey and adventure while still moving forward to complete a bigger goal. A narrative a lot of first-party Nintendo games have tried to replicate this generation. So let's take a stroll on the beaches of the Seaside Kingdom and take a look whether this game finds a wing cap or falls down a bottomless pit. The game started development back in 2013 by one of Nintendo's in-house development teams, now known as Nintendo Entertainment Planning and Development Studio. They had internal discussions about what the next Mario game should be. Lots of new and diverse ideas came to the forefront, with the development team struggling to narrow down what should really make the cut. Normally in these situations, they would pick one or two ideas and save the other ones for either a later game in the same series or reuse them in another Nintendo game in the future. But on this occasion, they liked so many of them that they decided to incorporate as many as possible into one game. And despite how strange it sounds, one of the first core ideas was using Cappy or something similar for movement and controlling other characters. This idea was here from the start. I don't want to know what they had in their coffee that morning to think of that idea. This was followed by the open world idea and the reward-filled exploration, again somewhat mirroring the idea from Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was in development at the same time. In Mario Odyssey, the developers wanted to give you all the freedom to go out there and complete any objective at any time. I will describe how they did this in more detail later in the video, but the freedom you have is a deliberate gameplay mechanic, rather than the mission-based structure we see in other 3D Mario games, like Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine. And that's what gives Mario Odyssey its distinct personality. So this time you find out that Peach just wants to go out and hit the town, go out for a few bevs. So you go to the bar, have a couple of drinks and just let your hair down. You then wake up half naked and go on a short but hungover adventure to stop throwing up in the toilet and try find out where you left your wallet that night. Don't you wish that was actually the case? But no. Bowser has kidnapped Peach. Again. I actually think we should change the word kidnap to peached. I mean, if I said to you, oh no, little Timmy's been peached, you'd know what I'm talking about, right? You'd get it. So, the story is in no way a deviation from just about every other Mario game, but it does present itself and get out of the way so quickly that I don't think it really had a positive or negative impact on the game. They were just like, look, Bowser's got Peach, you've got to go get her. You've played a Mario game before, right? You know how this thing works. It looks very nice, it's very simple, and it does get the job done. After a short fight on Bowser's ship, you are smash attacked by Bowser's hat and land in a new kingdom called the Cap Kingdom. You then meet up with a hat-type creature, funnily enough called Cappy, who saw your fight with Bowser. He wants to join you in your adventure to defeat him, as Bowser has also kidnapped his sister, Tiara. After this, you travel from kingdom to kingdom, trying to catch up with Bowser, who is taking special items from each of the kingdoms he visits. He's looking to grab special items for his wedding, like a dress from the Lake Kingdom and a bunch of flowers from the Woodland Kingdom. You always travel to a kingdom just after Bowser has come through and caused havoc, so your job is to try and help the locals where you can while finding and earning enough power moons to progress. This game's versions of stars or shine sprites. All this would be easy if it wasn't for those pesky wedding planners the great King Koopa has hired to put a stop to your rescue efforts. You will need to defeat these or a kingdom-related boss to be able to travel to the next kingdom, so long as you've collected enough power moons to power your ship along the way. Fast forward to the end of the game, this all results in a final showdown with Bowser himself. After which, the credits roll and we unlock a load more power moons to find and collect in every kingdom, as well as a few new kingdoms that have become unlocked. That's it for any real story in the game. Again, it's short and it's simple, and it does provide a believable narrative for us as the player to get behind. Mario has never been a story-heavy game, but it is something that not only fans of the series can get behind, but simple and easy enough for new players to get behind as well. Mario Odyssey is a 3D platformer / collectathon. If you've ever played Mario 64, Sunshine or even Galaxy, the small but densely filled worlds you visit will already be very familiar to you. The big difference here is in just how the open world traversal and the mission structure is compared to Mario's past adventures in 3D. Whereas those games had many clear objectives that you had to go out and do, sometimes in a set order, Mario Odyssey has only one mission that needs to be completed to move on to the next area, which is normally defeat a mini-boss pointed out to you when you arrive in a new kingdom. As stated previously, you do need to have a certain amount of power moons to move on to another area. But thankfully, not only is this relatively low compared to how many moons you have access to, there's no limit in where you get these from. For example, if I needed 30 power moons to progress to the next area, and I currently had access to 3 different kingdoms, I could collect those 30 from any kingdom. I wouldn't need to get 10 from each area, or need to get 30 from the one kingdom I'm in. I can split these up and effectively pick and choose which ones I want to collect. In fact, the end of the game only requires you to collect around 1/3 of all the moons in the game before heading off to fight Bowser. This may remind you of another game we've reviewed on the channel. So how do we go about saving that disaster magnet princess and defeating that big boy Bowser? Although the start of this game may fool you into thinking Mario has entered a hat-related Smash Bros game, let's clarify that Mario can still jump, and it's one half of the toolset you have to complete this game. He has even more jumps than ever before, with long-standing staples like the long jump, triple jump and ground pound all making a return. The second half of your toolset is a little chap called Cappy. Not only can Cappy be used to improve your jumping skills, with more actions like the hat jump, the dive and the ability to throw your hat just after jumping off a surface to give yourself that extra bit of height, the biggest benefit he brings is mind control. Yes, you heard me right. Cappy can be thrown at an enemy or item and then you can control them. You even get a pretty nifty mustache to slightly play down the fact that you're committing a horrific crime against humanity. Cappy is used to capture and take advantage of the different creatures' abilities and movesets you'll come across on your adventure. Need to reach that ledge? Use the frog to jump up high. Want to move on the ice without slipping? Goombas can do that with ease. Need to swim underwater without needing any air? Grab that cheap and dive to your heart's content. The great news, and again playing into the same strengths and gameplay designs as Zelda Breath of the Wild, all your jumps and abilities are unlocked right from the start of the game. That means you won't have to defeat a boss or complete a certain mission to unlock the ground pound or the capture ability. It makes coming back to the game for a second playthrough a real joy. Sprinting through that first part of the game where you were originally struggling, it's a great experience and a way to show yourself the progress you've made. When making a game, Nintendo always has a few gaming philosophies they tend to use. In Mario Odyssey, simplicity comes to mind. Right from the start of the game we see a woman in distress, a scary monster holding her against her will, and our red hero who is thrown off the ship with a powerful hat toss. Game! From this, we know who the bad guy is, what we're going to do in this game, and that hats probably have a big role. When we start, we are shown a few movement options, like how to jump and toss our hat, with some simple instructions shown on screen. In the first starting area, we're encouraged to explore and throw Cappy around. We find out that he can be used to remove obstacles in our way, use him to grab coins, and use him to help us jump further. Moving on to the next area, we have a bottomless pit either side of us, pushing us forward. We see a very high ledge that we can't get up, and there's nothing around to interact with apart from these frogs, or Slippy Boys. So what do? You throw your hat, learn what it feels like to be Kermit for a day, and right there you have learned everything we need to do to progress throughout this game. What I'm trying to convey here is just that if you play the game for no more than 5 minutes, you've learned everything you need to do to complete it. It goes back to the design of the console, the Nintendo Switch. Some people will play this through in short bursts, and they'll need to know the basic controls to pick up and play. It's a simple toolset with a lot of utility. For those who do need a little refresher when they start the game back up, there is an action guide in your options menu, and this can be viewed at any time, just making sure that those who need it will have it, without making it a whole area or tutorial that you'll need to go through if you've just forgotten what you can do. The game has what's called a high skill ceiling. There are lots of advanced movement options that you can do, but it is still perfectly playable and enjoyable regardless of your skill level. Mario does sometimes feel like you're moving around a bag of potatoes, but that boy, he has momentum, and it can be a little strange to get used to. But much like any other Mario game, a few runs and a few jumps later, and it all falls into place and makes sense. It's amazing how much control you do have on the ground and in the air. Even if you do mess up and die, the only consequence is that you lose 10 coins. And that's the only penalty for dying. You have checkpoints that are around often enough that dying usually means you've lost no more than 2 minutes of progress at any one time. And more often than not, it's a lot less than that. I always felt that no matter what the challenge was in front of me, I had the tools available to complete it. But I mean, who wants to play it safe when you can do it in style? It's risky, but it's worth it. Having said all this, there is one niggling thing about the progression that I feel starts to feel less and less fun as the game goes on. Collecting power moons is the game's main objective, and it's the main collectible you'll be getting throughout your adventure. At the start of the game, collecting power moons feels really satisfying. Finding moons in hidden areas always helps you feel rewarded for exploration. Putting power moons behind platforming challenges feels like the game's rewarding you for your skill and mastery of the controls. But my issue is that some challenges are so much harder than others, yet you get the same reward for doing it. Why should I complete this hard platforming challenge when I can just ground pound this bump in the ground and find a power moon here? I mean, the game even gives you a special animation and gives you 3 power moons for defeating the mini bosses. Even the game is unsure what to give you, so they just give you 3 of them rather than 1. It's not a deal breaker by any means, and I was still happy to receive a power moon when I did get one. It just felt like we needed a different collectible or item instead. If we are comparing this game to Zelda Breath of the Wild, you have multiple things you can reward your player with for completing certain tasks. Go off and do some exploration, give the player a Korok seed, a chest with some rupees in it, or the location of a new shrine. The player defeats a hard enemy or mini-boss, then they can get some powerful weapons or some rare crafting materials, which can be used to permanently upgrade your armour. If the player completes a shrine, they get a spirit orb, and this can be used to permanently upgrade your hearts or stamina. This is where Mario fails to deliver, as there's only 3 things to collect in the game, the first being coins that are used for lives, purple coins that are used for costumes and things that are displayed in your ship, and power moons that you need to progress. When you compare the two, Odyssey just doesn't have enough meaningful items for the player to collect. Again, it doesn't ruin the game in any way. But after the credits roll, I did struggle to find any motivation to go out there and collect more power moons. I just want to point out that Mario's hair on the start screen is really weird. I don't like all the individual hairs. They freaked me out a lot. I don't know why. I just disliked it. It made me feel really uncomfortable. Apart from this though, the game looks vibrant, fun. It lets you know that you're in for a good time. The bright colours, cartoony visuals, and the soundtrack all make it feel like an epic travelling adventure or holiday, regardless of the narrative. I mean, even the maps and menus look like travel brochures for holiday destinations or resorts. The game also has a load of visual information that can help you solve puzzles and locate power moons. It even shows you things like bosses' weaknesses without it being too over the top and obvious. I won't get too ahead of myself, however. I mean, jump on the enemy's weak spot 3 times is a pretty standard Mario trope, which is not missing from this game. But some bosses do have unique weaknesses which were fun to look for. I felt like the game was able to give me some simple clues, and although it did help me find that power moon or defeat the enemy, it was still fun and it still felt like I accomplished it. The game informed me of its world and its rules, enough that I could understand it, and I was rewarded for it. Moving on to the sound, and listen to this. I mean, I could listen to that all day, I just love it. Although the sound doesn't play a big role in the gameplay department, it goes a long way along with the visuals to add some Nintendo polish and build the world into a believable place. Well, you know, within reason, I don't actually believe these giant forks exist. At least I really, really hope not. With the music, I had good but mixed feelings overall. A song like Jump Up Superstar is amazing. It's a big celebration of the game and the franchise, and it belongs in this game. However, the rest of the music is usually a mix of ambient music and background music, and it can all just be a little forgettable. It lacked punch. Some themes nail it, however. The Lake Kingdom and the Seaside Kingdom are much more memorable for me. And I am saying this while listening to the soundtrack on YouTube, and some songs I hear, I can't remember ever hearing them after my 40+ hours with the game. So let's get to the point right away. Do I think that Mario, Peach or Bowser has an emotional, tragic or heroic storyline that lets us explore that character? Do I feel like they've been through an impactful change from the start through to the end of the game? And do we see that character grow due to the events that happen along our journey? Peach maybe, but mostly no. Do I think the game suffers for it? No, not at all. Do I feel like it detracts from the game's overall experience? Definitely not. The character designs though, now these are something else. We've already been over Mario's creepy hair, but besides this, Nintendo have done a great job at making some great character models for the main cast. They fit the game's theme well. And putting a comb over on Bowser? Now that's brilliant. Whoever did that, promote that person, give them a raise. We even get some new clothes and costumes Mario can purchase with normal coins, as well as the special items of clothing you can only buy with area-specific purple coins you find scattered throughout the different kingdoms. It's a fun way to encourage you to buy different clothes and experiment. You may even find that some power moons are hidden behind character requests to see you looking like a chef or a pirate. I mean, whatever you're into. I'm just here for the power moons, I'm not here to judge. Along with a good amount of stage-specific enemies, we do have a lot of returning veterans to the series as well. You have your Goombas, your Hammer Bros, your Chain Chomps, your Bullet Bills, your Cheep Cheeps, the list could go on. I like that older players like myself get a good mix of new and old enemies to play with. It's a nice callback that keeps me interested with the enemy variety throughout the game. We've already been over the fact that just about every enemy in the game can be controlled, and there's some really fun and interesting abilities to help you traverse the area you're in. The game also shows you a handy reminder of what each character can do every time you capture them at the bottom of the screen. You normally have some safe space to test this out in, so you can quickly familiarise yourself with the controls before moving out. It's simple but it's nice, it makes sure that you're comfortable with what you can do before they throw you into the deep end with some character specific challenges later in the game. So how did our red hero do? Did he turn into a superstar, or did he take a warp pipe to the dark side of the moon? Well, in my opinion, I liked it. I did appreciate the game's varied and wide options for progression, plus the ability to leave the difficulty to the player by making a lot of platforming doable as Mario, or easier by using Cappy to take control of a nearby enemy or item. In that respect, I always do like a game that appreciates your time. I get to make the choice in those situations. I can try to challenge myself, or just use Cappy if I'm squeezing in a quick 5-minute play session on my lunch break. And it's not to say the game is too easy. Believe me, some platforming challenges made me want to tear my hair out, but it's nothing that a little bit of patience and well-timed platforming can't deal with. If it's not obvious from the footage, I'm not the best platforming player in the world, but I still got to the credits and I still had fun along the way. The non-linearity of the gameplay really lends itself to exploration and a more satisfying gameplay experience rather than that mission-based structure of old. All in all, Nintendo's made a great sandbox experience that puts the onus on the player to decide how they can progress and at what pace. It's becoming a trend in Nintendo games of late to do this more and more. And although some games like God of War and Uncharted absolutely show you that a game can be linear and still immensely enjoyable, Mario really does lend itself to this formula brilliantly, and it's why I would say this game is at least worth playing, even if you're not a big platform gamer. I picked this game up for £30 in a digital sale a little while back, and to be honest, it's worth it for just this sound alone. Hi guys, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe if you like the video, and I want to hear your sound off in the comments below whether you agree or disagree. I'm going to respond to everyone I can. I want to have a good conversation about this because for this game, it's well loved, but I didn't exactly fall in love with it. I thought it was good, but not amazing. If you want to know what I thought about Zelda Breath of the Wild, there should be a link on this video as well. I did compare the two quite a lot in this, and I must admit I really did enjoy making that video as well, so please give it a watch if you're interested. So again, thank you so much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one.